Jim Quick fucking nailed it with that one. But so many people fight for their crutches. That so many people fight for their limitations on why I can't do something and can't flip the head to like, what happens if everything works out? Not what happens if everything fails and I'm bankrupt and divorced and what up? You know, it's just like everybody defaults to negative because that's self-preservation built into our brain.
Yes.
And if you negativity bias in psychology, it gets easier when you're negative and fearful and doubtful to just subtract stress and be like, oh, my human's just being my human. Grit and grace is the only recipe for life.
All right, family. This is Brian Trainer at the Front of Center podcast with my brother Tyrell.
Hey, brother.
How
Good
we
to be
doing?
back in here.
Here we go again, huh?
Nice, hot, steamy day today.
It's a hot one in here.
Yeah. We're here to battle.
Absolutely. Digging in. And so today we got on my boy, Brian Peters, BP, naming this podcast Grit and Grace. Brian mentioned something about those two things as a formula for his life, and just really touching on that from my end. I think you really have to have one. If you're going to have the other, you got to have that grace component. It's a theme with the Front of Center podcast, I think, as we talk to guys about you're going to go hard, but you're going to get beat up a little bit, and just giving yourself some grace around the ultimately you're going to fail.
Yep.
And it's funny because we're going to sound like a broken record, I think, in here, because I don't think there's any way around that. Just that grittiness that you need to do something, whatever it is that you're going to do, you've got to have that grit. But there's that big component, and we love what BP has to say here when you get to listen to this about just giving self some grace.
Yes, sir.
So
I think a lot of us want that grit. We're striving for that sandpaper, but the having that grace with yourself is, I think, the most difficult part.
I think grit's easy. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people push on that. And it's just easy to find that gritty warrior part of yourself.
Yes, sir.
I think we have a really hard time as men, especially, giving ourselves a little grace.
Yep.
Because we're going to fail along the way. So, T, just want to say thank you to the family for showing up and listening to us today. Thank you to RuckList, the company that puts this on for us, lets us sit in here and cook and talk and just have a little bit of fun and dig in on some life. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Right on, man. So, T, hit us up with who's Brian Peters? And what do we have to look forward to here?
Yeah, so Brian Peters, good friend of yours.
Yep.
Think you met him first time at Winter Strong.
I did.
It's going to be a common theme between guests, I think.
A lot of good people there. It's hard not to tap into that community.
Exactly. And so I got to meet him there at Winter Strong, and once in person, he came out to Loveland, brought the sauna, set up some cold tubs, worked with, dude, there's a lot of our family. Like my daughter in there, your daughter in there. We got some cute pictures of them together in the ice bath, and Court, hyping Avery up for it, which was that's always a special moment in my heart that BP got to be a part of. As far as in life, human performance coach. He's traveling around right now, pulling that sauna, working with teams, individuals, militaries, etc. Right, and under that is Breathing for Performance. His company name there that he founded, podcast Chasing Edges.
Can't wait.
Yep. Big one for me, 8-year NFL vet.
Yeah,
love those stories.
Yeah.
Defensive guy.
Yeah, and we get to touch on a little bit of that in the podcast, and that's that gridiron that you want to hear about, right?
Yep, exactly. And in there where ultimately did a few stops, but became a captain on the Texans there, and big piece of his life that he talks about. And and kind of moving away from that and moving on with life. And so that kind of, it's a little bio for BP.
Absolutely. Sick. Well, I'm pumped. We just got to listen to it again as we were getting ready to talk about it, and it got me fired up.
Yeah.
I know it's the same for you. So I'm stoked for you guys to get to listen to this. So let's jump back in and listen to what he's got to say and the good conversation there. And then we'll circle back at the end, and we'll just digest this a little bit, a little after action report on that. Yeah.
Yep. Let's get it.
All right, family, go have some fun. Talk to you. Dude, let's circle back to the nicotine thing now that we're capturing a little bit. Tyrell, you good to go?
Good to go, man.
Yeah, man. Dude, are you calling yourself a sommelier?
Yeah, I think the pairings are fun, and I consume a wide variety of nicotine, and strictly just pouch form. Not a believer in the vaping or anything, obviously, but just driving. I mean, I've already racked up probably 14,000 miles on the road this year. Did 57 last year. And nicotine and caffeine's what fuels me. Diesel's what fuels the truck. So,
Yeah.
which again, most health conscious approach, no. But
Yeah.
it's an enjoyable little vice, and I don't. If my only vice is the stims, as I said, like come at me. Like if
Yeah.
nicotine and caffeine are my only vices, like come at me because I don't have any other vices outside of that.
Right.
In that realm, because people come at you about the flavoring, like the artificial flavors and all the Zen and all that kind of stuff. And to me, like you better have this perfectly clear Mormon lifestyle of some sort to come at me about the flavoring in my nicotine. And
Right.
then, so really, like again, like I said it earlier, but like everything's poison. It's the dose that makes it so.
Right.
Like the research based like dosage, yeah, you should really only take basically like 2 doses of 2 to 3 milligrams a day. Do I have a Zen in my mouth maybe 3/4 a day at times? Yeah. Like, so like
Yeah.
is what am I doing perfect? No. Does it influence my blood work? No. So like I've guessed and checked enough to know that like caffeine and higher doses, extended periods of time is the only thing that's ever influenced anything like cortisol or anything in my life. But
Yeah.
nothing that's substantial. It doesn't like I always try and cycle off of everything for like 3 to 5 days at one point every month. And caffeine's the harder thing to cycle off of. Like I can drop nicotine. It's just like that empty mouth kind of
Yeah.
oral fixation more than it is like an addiction, or at least that's my confirmation bias rationale.
Yep.
But in my head, in my rationalization, like there's benefits to it. So again, I think you're splitting hairs when you're talking about like nicotine in the context that it used to be viewed as with cigarettes and chewing tobacco and things along those lines.
Yeah.
So
Do you shut it down at some point? Like, do you have kind of like a, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock where you try and just, like caffeine, I think we all naturally know, like, let's not drink a cup of coffee after 4 o'clock or whatever. Although caffeine doesn't tend to affect my ability to sleep. I sleep like a baby kind of no matter what. I rarely have a night where I'm not crashed out. But do you shut it down? Do you shut down the nicotine, caffeine at some point during the day and go, okay, I need to start to wind down?
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of lead 2 lives, like road life and home life. So
Yeah.
road life, no. Like I'm drinking caffeine till midnight and then I'm sleeping in the truck from 3 to 7, like
Right.
half the time.
Right.
But so like, which is chaos. But in that realm, like when I'm home, yeah, like my structure, so like my routines here are better in that realm where like I won't, like I'm more of like a high dose early, and it doesn't like I don't need another one at 5 or 6,
Right.
But right. I don't really self-regulate excessively because I go to sleep late as is right now. And so like the one thing you will notice, even if you can fall asleep on it though, it will influence like sleep scores and that kind of thing on the Whoop. So yeah, so I try not to consume too much. Like when I'm on my shit, like I try not to consume too much caffeine after like at 2 or 3 o'clock. But usually when I'm on my shit, I'm up in the morning. I'm a pre-workout workout, sauna, and then I'll usually go to coffee, which is what exactly my day routine has been today.
Yeah.
And then I start ripping and rolling. And so, but yeah, like, but dude, on the road, like easily 1,000 milligrams of caffeine, nicotine. And then to your point earlier, the sommelier stuff, I just think the pairings of taste.
What's our favorite pairing, bro? Because I told you my favorites, like that's what I call the cinnamon dolce latte, which is top side is cinnamon, bottom side's coffee. Where are you at? What are we minty?
Yeah, no, I'm usually it depends. Like I'm going for achieved result as well on top of the best pairing. Because like certain energy drinks and certain nicotine affect me differently.
Yeah.
So like go-to staple pillar is coffee, Zen, and White Monster. But like I'm not a huge proponent of drinking a lot of Monster, so I'm usually
Yeah.
drinking Rain or Bang. And
Okay.
so now, like when you start now, like you get into like a Star Blast, now I start to tilt more towards like an on citrus or an on cinnamon, like
Yeah.
in that realm. I've started to dabble in some of the velo game. I got into the Lucy's for a little bit, like the breakers. Those citruses paired really well, or lemon and whatever it was, paired really well with all the like the fruit based kind of like energy
Right.
drinks. But
Did I give you? I
yeah,
gave you a blueberry at Winter Strong, which was a
yeah,
delicious little treat. It's a little much though. Like, yeah, I bought 3 cans because I tasted one. I was like, I love these things. And by like back into can number 2, I was like, okay, I'm done with this blueberry life. It just
yeah.
doesn't.
And it's funny how things like come and go. Or like I used to like only like right when I started Zen, I only did wintergreen,
Yeah.
and then I got into coffee, and now like wintergreen doesn't even taste good to me. It's almost like I don't even it tastes moldy or something to me now. And then I'll go back and I'll dabble in a couple other Zen flavors, but like I got into Rogue, their wintergreen. I really like that. It just like the size of the pouch, the longer, like, cause if what I found is if the flavor lasts longer, I use less. And
Yes. Yes.
so Rogue's one of those brands that I like there, but I only do wintergreen in that
Yeah.
brand. So
Yeah. Dude, I love it. I wonder what our kids are going to like. We've gotten so efficient at this uptake of, I mean, you got edibles now for the marijuana world. You know what I mean? You've just got like, we're in a different world right now of how to like dabble in and manipulate, kind of that, whether it's that mental state or whatever it is. I mean, our kids are probably going to look back. I mean, where I'm at right now, I have a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, when they see the cans and, they kind of ask the questions. I thought you were going to quit, Dad. Well, yeah, it's, and dude, it's like, if you do want to quit, especially with like where, like we have, most of our companies are construction-based companies. We have kind of an office building of 3 floors. It is, it's hard to go to a meeting where you're like, I'm going to take this week off. And then you show up and everybody sets their can on the table. Like, oh shit, I'm just going to kick one of those over this way, where, you know what I mean? I made it like till lunch, but it's just a trip, man. I mean, it's such a, I don't know how long the nicotine pouch has been a thing, but it's crazy to see the adoption of that among men, especially, right?
yeah, and it's I mean there's a bunch of fun points in the conversation and in the habit and the addiction and the community and whatever.
Yeah,
One I think it bonds the boys.
it
Um
really does.
and I have so many like Instagram messages about Zen.
Oh, yeah. I
Nicotine.
sent a couple this morning. I did.
But it's I mean there's a couple of different directions I want to go with that, but it's all right. So in general, I think if you how do we want to navigate this? Like what the ability to like regulate is really important. And
Yeah.
so and whatever that is to you, like I in the realm of like generating and replicating feel, which is what I do a lot in my job with like breathing, nervous system, heat and cold, psychology, things like that. Like how do we replicate feel? Because if you feel good, you'll think good, like you'll have a better day. And some
Yes.
people just don't know how to influence how they feel outside of substances. So I think the Zen and coffee are awesome, and the energy drinks, yeah. Like, do I self-regulate poorly with those things at times? Definitely,
Yeah.
but also like today's like one of my good routine habit days where I don't think people realize how much more control they have of the environment and their actions in the morning to feel just as good as you can with again 2 Zen, 3 Zen, and a 16-ounce monster in your stomach, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
because like one, if you get your sleep and you protect your sleep environment, all those things, you tape your mouth, like you have all these inputs that one protect the battery that is charging at night. I think that's really important. So like because like so many people, I use an analogy when I coach that it's like we love our phones. So if you went to sleep at night and you plugged in your phone, but you woke up in the morning and the battery's at 60%, you'd solve that problem. You'd get a new
Yeah.
phone or a new charger. We
Yeah.
don't do that with ourselves. We think 60% is our normal 100%, and that's a problem. It's just
Right.
the hedonic adaptation of the set point that we've accepted, where it's like, okay, until you maybe drop the stuff for a little bit, learn how to sleep, learn how to train, learn how to eat, hydrate, breathe, whatever, you don't even know what your like potential is or how big your battery can be to give to life and love and kids and all this stuff. So
Right.
so I think it gets really important when you look at these things like the nicotine we're joking about, that like how I view it in like these kind of logic points, but like if you need something to perform, you're easy to fucking break.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like if you like in sports, I need this PT to stretch my hamstrings. I need
Yeah.
these supplements. I need to throw up, you know, whatever your ritual is. Like,
Absolutely.
do you own the routine, or is the routine own you? Is like another concept that weaves into there really quick. But in the realm of subs and substances, like if you need it to perform, like that, it's a problem. And
Yes.
because like with how we talk about it, like the boys like lock in for a meeting, like it's literally just like a carrot, like for me, and like it's a lot of carrots in a day because there's a lot of shit I want to do, and it's like, okay, I'll turn these emails, bam. Oh, I'm gonna go work out, bam. Like it's just like.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind again, I'm just logicking my confirmation bias on why I do it, but I also, that's why I do those 3 to 5 days of stopping, is so one, I know it doesn't own me, and then two, it just let my system reset a little bit, because like some of the adrenal burnout that people preach on caffeine, research is inconsistent. Like there's so many variables when you start registering that stuff, sleep quality, hydration, like micronutrients, like all these things. So like all, like again, a lot of the research on all this stuff is sporadic because the humans in it are very different, like every human is. So anyway, the point being is I think it's beneficial to not only have the substances that maybe potentially won't be there when you do need to perform, but also have a lot of other tools and tactics to replicate how you feel. That's why I cold shower or cold tub in the room. And my little bit on the cold tub is it's nature's cup of coffee. It's caffeine. Like how do you feel when you get out of the cold tub? Awake, alert, energized, alive. It's fucking caffeine. Use it as such. So I'll go, like when I'm dragging ass during the day, I'll go cannonball in the cold tub and then pop out, and like I'm not some exotic breathing in there or like getting my chi in line or anything like that. But it's like, what are the benefits after? It's the same reason we grab the nicotine. What are the benefits after? And then particularly in the realm of caffeine, I think some people misinterpret what it does anyways. It's like a adenosine blocker as opposed to like an energy giver. Like, did you know that?
No.
Yeah, so it's like it's more anti-tired than it is pro-energy. Like it upticks the physiology, but this is part of why like caffeine and sleep can be combative at times. In that realm is like adenosine is what builds up all day to like register a tired score. It's kind of like an 8 and 16 hour cycle. Adenosine builds up all day, and then eventually you get tired and sleep. Hopefully you take away light and natural melatonin production increases and all this shit. But like in general, like that's just like a gas gauge or like an energy, kind of like an energy battery, but it's inverted. But in that realm, that's why the Daddy Hubermans and people say, oh, wait 30 to 90 minutes before you take caffeine in the morning. Well, why? It's because the adenosine, there's two problems here, in my opinion, because like in sleep hygiene, like 8 hours of sleep is kind of a myth because like we sleep 90 minutes, take REM cycles. So if you're sleeping for 8 hours, you're probably waking up in the middle of a REM cycle where there might, because part of the brain's process at night is to wash out the adenosine that built up all day yesterday. And so because I bet you have you ever slept for like 3 hours and just like popped out of bed, or like 4.5?
All the time. Yeah. And I'm a 6.5 guy. Like it's hilarious. I did it this weekend. I'd had, after this like foot surgery and stuff, it's just, I've needed more rest. And my wife was out of town and I was like, okay, I'm just going to set my alarm for 7:30 and hope I sleep and really get it. Well, I'm already like dressed out in my garage and all of a sudden this alarm goes off. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I was going to sleep in today. Right. But I still woke up at that 5:15 just because my body just does it now, and I can't seem to get over that. Like guys, like I'm going to get 8 hours. Like I just can't. I I try,
Well,
you
but
know?
because you're unconsciously doing a very awesome thing. Like one of the biggest remedies to like even some like crazy psychiatry like diagnoses like bipolar schizophrenia is an anchor wake up time. And the
Mm,
cool thing about it is because you're same as like our brain craves consistency. Like so that's why we
yeah,
hold to routine and behaviors even when they don't serve us, like in that realm.
yeah,
Um, our physiology, our bodies crave the same consistency, so it has the same hormone and endorphin spikes and all these things going on. So like
right.
consistency in the body means a little more consistency for the brain as far as like input, light, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So like very beneficial. Like that's where I try and start all my athletes is like anchor wake up time and then learn how to blue light. But
Yeah.
like because like once you have an anchor wake up time, what you realize is because like this is part of like a stress-free sleep program that I adhere to with Nick Littlehales taught it to me like 10 years ago. He does like some of the sleep for Premier League soccer teams.
Okay.
But as long as you have an anchor wake up time, now you can just count backwards and collect REM cycles for like so anti-stress. So like in general, like for high performance athletes, like 35 REM cycles a week, that means 7.5 hours of sleep a night, which is, and then so in that realm, say you miss your window, you can sleep 6 hours and then teach you how to do naps and stuff. But regardless, what I found when I got into the program was that it didn't matter what time I fell asleep. I would wake up without an alarm, give or take a minute. And like
Dude.
that's how
Yeah.
smart the body is. And like
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with diet, it's the same thing with a lot like hydration. If you give the body consistent input for a couple weeks, the body responds in this incredibly intelligent way. And
Right.
so that's why you eat a bunch of good fats consistently is so your fat cells actually shrink in size and decrease inflammation. It's like all these things happen in sequence with consistency. And because our body wants it, our brain wants it. It's just like it's a self-preservation physiology, psychology in life. We want to
What
know
about
it's
the bookend of that, Brian? Not to interrupt, but like that I find myself being really curious about like, okay, you're going to shut it down. Like you kind of the front and the back of that sleep, because, from working with you a little bit on the like, I'm still actually shivering from my ice tub this morning because I'll get distracted. Sometimes I'll just be in there. Like one thing I've done with myself is, limiting that social side, that social media piece. But I'm like, okay, when you're in the ice tub, you get to flip through and, respond and read. And so there's times I'll get in there and I have a lot of messages from buddies and I'm laughing at stuff. And next thing I know, it's like 4.5, 5 minutes in there and I'm freezing my ass off. You know what I mean? And I'm cold. So, but front, not to get distracted from that front and back, like how do you like the quick, like, okay, here's the 3 things I would do as I shut down the day. And here's the, or whatever it is, right? Like, is there a front and back routine when you're able to have routine, right?
yeah.
And then I also want to touch for you, just, I got a million questions right now just with you talking, but also this idea of balance. Everybody's always seeking balance, and you have this life that is just way out of balance at times, super extremes, right? And so just remind me I want to touch on that, but how do you kind of shut down that day and how do you pick it up again, right? And to really effectively kind of have a positive effect on that.
Yeah, and I kind of have principles with the temperature exposure. The principle with the wake up time is just like anchor wake up time and sun, because
Okay.
this is an overarching theme of what I coach, but like if a plant doesn't grow, if a flower doesn't bloom, you don't fix the plant, you fix the environment, and sometimes that can mean fix the schedule. In that realm, so one of the biggest influences on organisms on the planet is light. So we need to be very conscious, one, of how much we get and what time we like see it and what time we take it away. And so like in the modern world, it's really like, so I like for sleep hygiene at night, it's like, okay, return to the cave. So what does that mean? Or like return to the fire. Like we're talking about sun's down. We don't have this artificial light. Our eyes read light angle as well. So like brushing your teeth in front of these lights, that all fuck up your naturally occurring melatonin and your sleep in general, like your awake and alertness. Even though we have like our bodies still like follows its consistency. Like, even though I'm not getting all the stuff I need, I still sleep at this time and I wake up at this time, you know? But so in that realm, like if you can and look at yourself as an organism or a plant, like sun meaning light is very important. I say start there. And so in the morning, like, and you can get like a Lumens app and do it inside the house and outside. You'll see it's like 3 times stronger outside. You have to be outside. No, not in the car, not glasses, like anything like that. And like, again, like, do I do this every day? I drive to the gym, you know, but like on when I can't, because like I'm waking up before the sun's up. And so,
I was just thinking that in my mind. I'm like, I'm up. Usually I'm doing something before the sun's even up, right?
But I have a red light where like I'll have like, so I have a big long panel in my room where like when I'm up and brushing my teeth and getting dressed, I just flick my red light on. And then there's lamps that mimic sunrise, but a little closer to natural sunlight as opposed to like an actual LED light. Like there's ways to fix the environment where like you getting better can be just unconscious. And so in that realm, if you can get sun, cool. If not, use the artificial interventions. And then have it, the anchor wake up time again is massive. But like to the point, like if you look at the circadian rhythm, which is just our body's relationship with the light and dark cycle on the planet, is like our body gets its coldest, kind of deepest sleep around 2 a.m. and then it starts to heat up. Part of that temperature change is what wakes us up, on top of cortisol and some other things happening in the body. But let's look at cold exposure by itself. Cold exposure is like a morning and a pre-workout thing, in my opinion. And I cook it very regularly. But why? Well, if I get the epidermis and the outside cold, I'm worried about internal temperature reaction. If I get cold on the outside, internal temp jacks up. It's just riding this natural wave in the body. I think that's important. And then on top of just how you feel after, like it's caffeine. Again, nature's cup of coffee. Use it as such. And so
how do you deal with that? Like, I'm still shivering as we sit here, right? Like, so this would be that ideal time for me to be like in the weight room. So I do that, say 4 or 5 minutes in my plunge, right? And then I'm out. Now, ideally, would I be going kind of out to the gym and working through that workout? I mean, what's your...
No, so like, again, like I said with the nicotine, like everything's poison. It's the dose that makes it so. Like you can cold tub too much till it impedes performance and thermoregulation as you're jacking up and oxygen delivery as you're warming up, all these things.
Yeah.
The closer to your performance, the shorter the exposure. And because like all these short exposures, like people like I don't know what your perspective or what you've learned, but like why are you doing 4 to 5 minutes?
I didn't used to, but it just seems that that's where it starts to feel like, okay, I've got there. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's like this mental switch that happens where you go like, that feels like 2 minutes now. It used to, I just had a timer. I just do 2 minutes and it just didn't, I was like, I just kind of got settled in here a little bit, you know? I don't know why. It just feels, I don't know if you can get addicted to it or not, but I can tell you for sure that I crave it, right? I'll come home at the end of the day and I'm like, I got to go jump in. Like my wife knows, like, I'll be right back. Like, I just want to just go. I think there's also just this, my day can be very hectic and I don't like to use the word stressful, just full and busy, right? To where it's just stacked front to back. Yesterday was a front to back 14 hours of just doing, you know what I mean? Like turned on all the way. From 6 a.m. to I think, I left the studio at like 7:30, right? And just, I don't know, it's just something it just kind of drops those things that there's all these things going on in my head. And I know this may be not the point of the ice tub, but like for me, it's just that, like that thing you had when you jump off a cliff when you're young and you know what I mean? It's just that it's at a cellular level or almost things just settle down for me. And it's like, okay, boom, because it just forces you to kind of go like, ugh, and I think that's what it is. It's just a mental thing for me half the time, Brian.
Yeah, well, so like that's exactly my point. Like all these short exposures, 5, 7, 10 minutes and under is all. It's more for the brain than it is for the body. I was just making sure you're not like chasing, like, because like, can I say my way's right? Maybe, like everybody's different. like, is it impeding your workout? Not really. Like maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
like I care more about how you feel and how you think than I do with like your high performance. You're not a fucking NFL athlete right now, you know? Like, but
No.
regardless, like I would still say that between the ears trumps the talent in the NFL too. So like,
Yeah.
I would rather you feel and think good, and whatever that is. Like that's where like people get too rigid on like do this morning breathing, this meditation, this cold. Like
Yeah.
no, get the fuck out of here. Like I think what like self-regulating for you, because like there's probably a lot of things that occur, not just the cold there. Like because like I used to call cold tub like forced meditation, because like your brain's not usually too many other places besides the cold and like regulating like breath and like just your pulling back your thoughts and not get, even if it's just not to get out, you know? And
In the cold tub for when I was throwing, right? I would jump in and I would pick one little piece of my throw to visualize on, right? So I was put myself in this kind of like freak out moment, but then like, okay, can I calm in and mentally can I visualize that, right?
yeah, and like it's a lot of things. Like just keeping your focus on like controlling yourself in there is meditation 101. It's neuroplasticity. That's why like when I coach the cold tub, I make sure people just follow their count for the whole 3 minutes kind of thing.
Right.
Well, why? Mind wanders, bring it back to the count. It's focus training, but at the same time, it's like smoke and mirrors. Like the big mental skill of breathing is get out of your head and get into your body. And if it wanders, bring it back. And so now it's just like it's like a game you play with a kid. No, look over here because dad doesn't want to go pick up that later, you know, or whatever. And like in that realm, so it's I think part of the problem with this cold tub culture, some of the humans, is like my way or the highway. When really like same with breathing. Like people ask me what breathing I do every day because I'm a breathing coach or breathing's part of what I do. Like I breathe all day. Like whenever I'm too up, I go down. Whenever I'm too down, I go up or I breath hold. Like I do it while I drive. I do it while I walk. I like it's just part of my regulatory system. And so is the cold tub. It's like cold tub's a pick me up. Cold tub's a caffeine. Do I do 3 every morning? No. I do cold showers while the shower is still cold here in Ohio. I do what I call like my fast version right now is like I because like part of what wakes me up too faster, maybe you're not doing this, is I submerge all the way and hold my breath.
I don't do that.
Like,
no.
As you know, like I've done at Winter Strong. So
Yeah.
and then people discount like the cold plunges that have the jets and the chillers. That cold water moving past them, it makes it harder because of the convection taking the body temp. Well, so what I just started comboing them. And so one, I go in, I hold my I hold my breath. I'm in cold water that's moving, and then I move more. I wiggle around. I call it the drowning victim. And maybe there's something primal there because like one of the craziest, worst things that can happen to you as nature is you to fall like in winter to fall in cold moving water.
Yes.
And it's the same as wind chill can take your body temp like 8 times faster. Cold water is harder. And so all this research on cold plunges, half of it doesn't even tell you what type of tub. Is the water static? Is it moving? How fast is it moving? What's the temp? Like it's just outside. What's the temp? Like in the water, there's so many variables that some of this research is crazy. And and people hold a lot of research as gospel. And the more I've learned through physiology and breathing and all this stuff, like people like Daddy Huberman, like I thoroughly respect Huberman. He's awesome. Like I think he's changed the world.
Yes.
But his protocols are not gospel for every human. I have so many different people that can't do his protocols and or it doesn't do much for them. But he talks about it's this whole integration of the environment and using again hormesis, these little stressors to create adaptation, resilience, opportunities to improve and or connect. And so for you getting in the cold tub at night, like or after work, like research says no, you know, like research says no, like cold plunges for this like thermoregulation ride, you should really do warm shower or light sauna at night. Epidermis gets hot, so internal temp gets cold, so you start to go a little bit lower internal temp because that's what happens when you sleep. You drop a degree or two, you know?
Yeah.
And so like science says do that, But if you feel good, sleep good, think good, like do whatever the fuck feels good for you. And like
Right.
that's where if you want to do 5 seconds or 5 minutes, cool, as long as it feels good, it works. And because like now you get into like placebo research, and that shit's stronger than most everything, anyways.
Right, and that's just it, right? And it's funny because you talking, and it's just I think it was like Alex Hormozy, if you listen to him, and he had a quote where he said, kind of to all the biohacking thing, he said, remember that this country was built by men that woke up in the morning, had a cigarette and a cup of coffee, and went to work, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, and I think there's a piece of that too, that just like not relying on that, and that idea of like I don't need it. Like if I miss that, if I get up and I'm just out the door, right? And there's days like that. There just are. I'd love to sit here and act like every day is perfect and I'm dialed in, but I'm not, right? Like there's days I wake up and it's like I'm grabbing a cup of coffee on the way to a meeting or whatever. And you got to be able to function in that space too, right? And I'm still going to bring it, right? There's just days that would be nice if I had this, but otherwise I'm still going to show up and I'm going to go hard. Like you said, as an athlete, like if everything has to be perfect as an athlete, and you show up at practice like, well, I didn't get this, I didn't have my little smoothie, or I didn't have all those things. And because you do get thrown into, like I had moments where, competing, and you just, stuff happens, man. You know what I mean? Whatever. And you got to be able to show up and go, okay, I still got it. Right. I'm still gonna show up and just go hard. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's what we talked about earlier. Like if you need something to perform, you're easy to break. Is like you not clubbing in the morning gonna break you? No. The whole goal is to be an adaptable, problem-solving, like relatively peaceful and happy human, But like people get better at problem solving. People need all these crutches to perform. Like, and I'm not calling like SSRIs and some certain things crutches, but like if you give a person a crutch, they're gonna limp for their whole entire life until somebody teaches them they don't need it. It's like sleeping pills. A lot of my ex-military guys are on sleeping pills, and you get them alpha stim, or you teach them some down regulation and how to like take away light and block your phone properly, and they can fall asleep without it, and they stay asleep without it. And it's just like there's interventions that like we don't always try because we have easy buttons everywhere. But the goal, what I try and do with all my humans and with myself is like I just want to be resilient. And I don't want to sweat the fucking small stuff. I don't want the perfect day to be like some necessary thing when really life is messy and imperfect in that realm, because it's like kind of like how I view a lot of things through like logic landmarks of quotes. But one of my favorite quotes on the damn planet is, you can tell the size of the person by the size of the things that disturb them. And so did you hear that?
I did. I love it. Yeah.
So it's like, well, if the weather bothers me, I'm easy to break. I'm not very big person. If somebody's saying this, somebody criticizing me does this. If me fucking up breaks me, like big things should disturb you, like cancer and car accidents, And it's like everything else, like if you have tools and capability and perspective and some skill set and like capability to solve problems, to learn business, to like you're a savage entrepreneur, like you didn't like learn that by chance. You learned it through scars and fire and problem solve and all this stuff and work capacity. So it's like, let's work on those things and stop staring at the problems, and realize like what is the cost. Like I my big thing as of late, like what's the cost of your unconscious decisions? Like it sounds like kind of like a paradox in the sense, but like how, like a lot of like I had this like post the other day. It's like a lot of us should have like a not to do list instead of a to do list.
Yes.
And it's like, but like, what's the cost of your unconsciousness just means that like, what is really influencing you? What is outside your periphery that actually is a variable that's either accelerating you or holding you back? And most of the time it's things that are holding you back. It's your purchases at the grocery store. It's your unconscious habit of mindless TV watching. It's something along those lines that like, or the light in the bathroom at night. It's all these little unconscious things that are in our environment. So they're unconscious because it's part of this modern day. This is what we do. This is what my mom did. This is what my dad did. This is what my friends do. So I do it. And that's why like being around good conscious people, and consciousness in my head just means presence and awareness of what's influencing me at this point, whether it's people, substances, or the environment. But it's just like, look at yourself like a plant, you'll realize that humans are pretty fucking unhealthy. Like
Absolutely. And you had a quote. Where did I hear you say this? You had talked about, I'll tell you what connected it for me. You had said something about either an animal or plants. They don't get, they don't feel sorry for themselves or some version of that. And there's a deer that lives kind of out in our neighborhood where I live, and he's missing a leg, and I'll see him walk by every couple mornings when I'm drinking coffee and he's just dealing. I don't know how he lost it. It's just a back leg, and he's not out there feeling bad for himself. He's eating and he's moving, and I mean, he runs from predators the same as anything else, I'm sure, but life is simple for him, right? I eat, I shit, I sleep, I move from this field to that field.
Yeah.
But that I thought was really impactful, Brian, going, just how much time we spend in our own head feeling bad for ourselves,
because we think we're separate from nature and we think we're better than these animals. It's
Right.
like, it's just because we hunt them doesn't mean that they ain't like, it's almost like an ignorance is bliss thing, but it's not an ignorance on their part. It's they're connected to nature and we're not. And so like the quote is from D.H. Lawrence. I've never seen a wild thing sorry for itself. And like,
Dude,
I think
that
that's
one
an
was,
awesome.
yeah.
But so this breeds into what I coach, because all I'm trying to get to the psychology of the athlete is to be a dog and then animal again. Because in this realm, so like, because like you hear it in the movies and coaches say things along these lines, but it's the quote that like I hang part of my presentation on is the sign of a healthy organism is that emotion is a short-term response. And that's where I think humans get fucked up, because we hold on to all these things in the past. We have so much anxiety into the future of things that we can't control and predict. And so we have all these extended emotions that cause us, again, a sympathetic physiology state that keeps us in this fight and flight, which is not a natural state. No. And like even like a deer is a super interesting side note of a deer. And like, it's more like the research I've seen is like antelopes, but in that realm, they have this heightened sense of awareness called vigilance. Cause like when you see a deer like perk up and like prey,
they go down to eat and they go,
yeah.
And they're always,
you would think that their heart rate like skyrockets. No, boom, stone cold. They're just locked in.
Yeah.
And that's how humans should be a little more in the realm of seeing threats. There's like, okay, lock in. Is it really a threat? In my control, out of my control? Nope, move on. But like we just oh no, and we live scared for the rest of our life of cold water, Or
it's that idea that like that. What is that? That it's like it's a story or a quote of, you get bit by a snake and you spend your time chasing down the snake versus dealing with the poison that's now in your skin, right? And I think we do that so often. And what you were talking about, something hurts us, something impacts us, and instead of just dealing with it in here, right? We blame the snake, and we're always looking for, where's the next snake or chasing down the thing that hurt us, rather than just going, okay, let's deal with this and move on, right?
Yeah, I think we learn really fast through pain and through perspective and insight.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but you can learn through both. And but like a lot of the boys and the dogs and like the masculine men on the planet, like we think pain's the only teacher, and we have to like struggle and get our heart broke and grind until we can't like walk in order to like achieve some like mysterious mystical level of success or whatever. But like in that realm, I just think like if you look at yourself like an animal or a plant or everything, I just tie back to nature because that's the only logic that makes sense to me. But it's like, how much happier and more peaceful will we be? Because really, like we have the game beat in the modern world, obviously, and I don't want to talk too much on that, but it's just like if we can like, and that's where like I tell this story when I present, like I just say, because athletes love to say that like be a dog, and so it's like okay, be a dog, but like what happens when the dog's like anxious and going crazy in the house? Like what do you do with the dog? Like you let the dog outside.
Let him out. Yeah.
But we don't do that with ourselves. We just keep swiping on our phone and thinking about our problems. Go fucking work out, go outside, go on a walk, get sun, grow your plant, like that concept. And then now it's like, okay, like what happens when you take the dog outside and you throw the frisbee or the ball? Like, how's the dog tell you it's tired? It pants.
It lays down. He just lays. I mean, it's like you look at her dog and you go, that thing, he's got it figured out, right?
Yeah.
It's like taking a nap, right?
They self-regulate.
Yeah.
naturally. And it's like, okay, move until your breathing changes, you know?
Yeah.
And then now this is where like the lesson of like the D.H. Lawrence quote is like, I've never seen a wild animal sorry for itself. But like if a dog gets in a fight at the park, does it come home and talk about its fight, call its friends, think about its fight? No.
No.
Drinks its water, eats its food, and and naps.
Yeah.
Be a
But
dog.
we get a lot of significance from that, Brian. That's the hard part. We want to talk it, right? It makes us feel significant. It makes us feel like, you know, we want to share. It makes us feel important because we had a conflict or we had so-and-so told us to go fuck ourselves today. And so, you know, and so it's, I think that it's hard for us not to want that significance, right?
Yeah. And so I have two kind of perspectives on that where it's like, I think self-pity is like one of the most unattractive qualities on the planet. I say this a lot.
Yes.
But it's like there's room for bitching and complaining and that kind of stuff. But if you're complaining about getting yelled at or whatever, you're not leading yourself and improving, and you're definitely not leading others. So
absolutely.
So I think it's super important to make sure it's not a self-pity complaint, or like you made it really clear. I'm not attacking women, but women like, hey, do you want me to help or am I just listening? Is this vent day?
Yes.
And so like in that realm, I think it's important to like differentiate there. And then I forgot my other point.
Just talking about self-regulation and just, you know, not feeling sorry for ourselves in that way. And I don't think it's right either, this desire to feel significant, but I think underneath that, if you pull the curtain back on why a human tends to do that, is I think that a lot of people walk around kind of sleepwalking and not feeling significant in this world, right? They feel like just one more, what do they call that? A non-player NPC in the computer, you know, the video game world, right? They feel like, am I, you know, and actually, I mean, we could go deep on this. I actually think there maybe are NPCs in our world, you know, and we're just not talking about them because they're not having any impact in their own life or whatever. But they begin to feel like that NPC and they go, oh, I felt alive today, in the worst way, right? It came from a conflict. It came from, you know, somebody actually noticing them, is what I think that they're not aware of that. But I think that's what they're actually feeling, is like, oh, I was seen today. It wasn't in a positive way, you know, but
yeah. And there's a bunch of weird little research things here, and where like back in the good old days when we could do really cool research and actually like touch people's brains and stuff, in that realm, like they gave the people in control of like what areas of the brain they activated, and the one that people defaulted to was friction. And so like I think some of like the online trolling and this gravitation towards the negative, because our brains are wired for like to remember negative things anyways. We've market tested. Man. Yeah, we market tested and proven like back in the 30s that like negative headlines like get more reads. Well, like part of that's what like it's very important to delineate like where you're consuming information anyways, because like, yeah, that's part of your diet, but I have this kind of lens that I view the apps and everything from, is like, if you're not paying for it, you're the product, you know, like we don't pay for Instagram and the YouTubes and things like that. Well, like it's because our view and our time is the product.
Right.
And so, but back to, I don't want to steer too far away from your point, because I think it's like really, really important what you said, is that I don't think they taught us to think really young. They didn't really teach us to solve problems. They taught us to take tests.
Yes.
And
oh God, yes.
The problem is when the tests stop, the structure of school stops, we stop testing ourselves. And so I think it's really important to always keep learning and growing and actually putting that shit under the lights and taking tests and getting certifications and learning languages, whatever it is in that realm. But they didn't teach us to, one, identify what's in our control and what's out of our control. And like what's like in the realm of like competency now, like there's not a lot that's out of our control, because we can learn anything we want on the internet. So really it's this and the time you're willing to sacrifice to learn and be competent enough to achieve X, you know, or if you have enough resiliency and negative feedback tolerance to handle criticism and starting a new company and a new product or whatever in that realm. But I think one of the biggest delineations of the day, like for modern humans, can you sit down and go kind of like just do hour by hour, because it's easier, but like draw a line down the middle. What hours of my day were mindful and what my hours of the day were mindless? And you'll find out that a lot of it's just like, I wake up, I eat this, I go to work, and like we have routines and autopilot on for a reason, but like the 3 hours of Netflix, and like I succumb to those things too, but it's like
Right.
when you start adding meaning to more things, which is why I always just try like, because now you get into the mindless things that are good too, like the workout routine or whatever. Because that can fall in those categories too, but it just you stop adapting, maybe you're doing the same thing, whatever. But like I view it this way is like if you want a meaningful life, make everything meaningful. Like so why do I sleep well? Why do I protect my sleep? Because I want energy, I want to help humans, I want to love on my people, you know, like that kind of thing. You have more meaning. Or like why do I want to get healthy and lose weight? Well, I want to walk my daughter down the aisle in 12 years, you know, maybe. It's like what meaning do you put to your actions in the day? And if you if you pour enough gasoline onto all the little things that you know are good, because everybody knows what's good. Everybody knows an apple's healthier than a Snickers. Everybody knows that 8 hours of sleep is better than 2 hours of sleep. Everybody knows they shouldn't be on the phone like staring. Everybody knows they shouldn't fucking jerk off to porn 7 times a day. You know, it's just like we know what's right and wrong. We lack the behavior change or the awareness to figure out what's in our control and what's out of our control, and figure out how to be mindful and add meaning to more things in life. And so I think if people just become more conscious, and that's part of like the breathing thing is just, it's a level of awareness. Like in reality, every breath can help or hurt you, push you towards like calm physiology, push you towards stress. So like that's a crazy delineation because nobody's going to think about every breath because it's part of this automatic system. So, but like, I just use that to start nudging them to add meaning to different things like sleep, like breathing, because these are all just tools that amplify your life, give you more energy. And what back to our point is like a point earlier in the conversation is like our brain and our body crave certainty. Yeah. Well, if you have more tools and awareness and perspectives that help you control how you feel and what you do, you are now a more confident, capable, hopefully more peaceful human being. It's just agency. But the part of what I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but like part of the problem of like what the media and everybody has done today, and like particularly you see it in political cycles, is this concept that like my vote doesn't count or my life doesn't count.
Yep.
Well, why does that happen? Like the psychology tactic they're hacking into, which is some of its actual psyops in that realm, is learned helplessness. And I think so many, we don't know who we're fighting. So because really in reality, it's me fighting billion-dollar algorithms that are fighting and playing psychology and research all day for my time. And and they happen to be showing me people living their best life, which makes me feel worse. And so this whole system, because my thing kind of in my head right now, it's been there for a little while, but it's like tourniquet your time, because like shit bleeds. Like you give a little bit of your time, it bleeds. Like Netflix, phone, tourniquet your fucking time and realize that the people trying to take your time are spending billions of dollars. So you better have some billion-dollar behaviors to back that shit up and play defense. So it's like, okay, can I view because what I really like the saying, like, again, I like all my quotes, but like, I really like saying it's not the single raindrop that thinks it's responsible for the flood. Like I'm not the reason that they make $100 million movies, but I'm one of the raindrops that fucking watches it, you know?
Yep.
And so why do they keep making movies? Because we keep giving them our time and our money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like let's think about this. And again, that was a crazy rant, but I just think we try and make life like, again, like I think it's really hard to get people out of their head cycles, because particularly the stories. And like I use research and I do this with humans a lot. It's just like I'm like a professional question asker. I call myself a thinking partner, mostly with like my business people in that realm. But it's like I'm not some psych. Like I'm starting my master's for applied psych, so hopefully like in that realm I can call myself some relative psychologist or therapist, and in that realm. But in general, I'm a professional question asker only because I'm a logical human that like if I ask you enough questions, I'm going to hear your narrative for why you're successful or why you're not. Yeah. And in the realm of like limiting beliefs, like if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Like Jim Quick fucking nailed it with that one. But so many people fight for their crutches. That so
Yeah.
many people fight for their limitations on why I can't do something and can't flip the head to like what happens if everything works out, not what happens if everything fails and I'm bankrupt and divorced and whatnot. It's just like everybody defaults to negative because that's self-preservation built into our brain. And if you
Yes.
understand negativity bias in psychology, it gets easier when you're negative and fearful and doubtful to just subtract stress and be like, oh, my human's just being my human. Grit and grace is the only recipe for life. Like, and
Yeah.
so I'm getting all juiced up. It's been a really good day already.
I love it. What would your be? Because you said there's a narrative toward, you if you ask enough questions, you get to somebody's narrative for their success or their failure. What's yours, dude? I mean, we haven't even touched on your background, and that's fine. What is your narrative for your success, and where do you see that, and what are those sort of high points that as me and Tyrell were talking about you coming on, a thing I thought is like, I think a lot of people for you probably go, this is Brian Peters, he was in the NFL, right? And that's what they anchor on, because it's a cool thing. But for you, and you look at your success, right? Because there's a lot of guys in the NFL that I know today, I hate to say this, and a ton more than I do, that I would not consider successful now, right? It was a very heavy drop, boom, and there. But as you've continued on and you've continued to build on your life there, but what is your narrative to say, yeah, I was successful and I got there because of X, Y, or Z?
Yeah, and like I think my journey through football is pretty organic. Like I didn't grow up wanting to be a football player. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. But
Yeah.
I ended
Yep.
ended up being better at football.
Yeah.
I gravitated toward defensive contact. But
Yeah.
the theme of me like basically thinking
And when I
best.
say you're successful, do you believe that? When I say you're successful, and what was your narrative?
No, like that's my biggest impediment is it's really hard for me to be proud of myself.
Right.
Even in the NFL, it's like it was never enough to like never be the starter on defense. But
Yeah.
I can deconstruct that and tell you why. But it's
Yeah.
also like I went through phases like I was more of an extremist. Like
Mhm.
I wanted to train the hardest, have the best biohacks, but I also I wanted to party, Like
Yeah.
I wanted one night a week to like get down with the get down.
Yep.
And so I got humble. When I came back from Canada, I actually got jumped and my jaw broken and all this stuff because I was drunk. And that was a big wake up thing that seared me to the Serranos, who taught me all about everything in the realm of training and sups and that kind of thing. So again, blessings in disguise. But on that crazy journey where didn't get drafted, Arena got cut from the UFL, CFL got cut from the CFL and put on practice squad, then was a starter, and then eventually came to the Vikings and got cut, put on practice squad, then got to the Texans and ended up as a captain. Like cool, like 10,000
Yeah.
awesome story, successful, And I
Yeah.
am incredibly proud of that. The most proud I have ever been about myself is the day I got elected captain in Houston. And I was pumped. I was always a leader on special teams because nobody really just wanted to have that hat, and I had no ego. I wanted to be there and help. I'm like a compassionate leadership type where I'll pull everybody in through the door instead of kick the door down and say follow me kind of guy.
Right.
But the most proud of myself was after they announced it. I got getting dapped up that kind of thing. But after we walked out of the meeting, Bill O'Brien's like, "Hey, you got the most votes on the team," and I was like, fuck yeah. And
Yes.
and then so now it's okay, and that always instilled you got to earn it every day kind of thing. But my underlying narrative was I always knew I could play, but I just have to keep getting better. So I derived this phrase that's now the title of my podcast called Chasing Edges. And I have to keep chasing
Right.
edges. And edges initially was training and subs. Then it bled into recovery and really the art of living. So reading and physiology, philosophy, everything. How do I just live better? How am I a good person on and off the field? And it just, what are the edges? What's my capacity for love? How much can I care about my people? It just went all different directions. And yeah, like really like part of it was a chip on my shoulder because they said I was too slow and white to play initially at safety. So I just, so like, but I adapted. I gained weight. I figured I kept knocking until they let me in,
Yeah.
and I am very proud of that. And then, so like those principles have always stayed with me. The level of commitment to that has fluctuated, particularly after football, particularly these last couple years on the road too, in the realm of like my health and my mental health, meaning
Yeah.
that like I would charge the batteries to like empty them on other people, and then like I stopped
Yeah.
learning, and my product's still there. I think it's a very high quality service what I do one on one and with teams and everybody, but like my product wasn't improving. It was still great, but it just like
Yeah.
I knew what happened when I just found out that I will always like if I spend my time on myself, I'll always be able to generate wealth doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always like the underdog mentality. I like people telling me I can't do shit, that kind of thing.
Well, that's a common theme. I think that most of the people that are going to listen to this, and most every conversation that you and I'll have if we're in this format, there is a common thread as I talk to other men of that underlying piece that serves us so well, of that underdog mentality. I still remember the coaches that, in seventh grade, as eighth grade football team, they had a player of the game t-shirt he gave out to all the athletes. And I was the only kid on the team in eighth grade to not get a player of the game t-shirt. Right. So it was funny because he had last day, the season's over, and he goes, there's one guy on this team that hasn't gotten a player of the game t-shirt. And he kind of goes on, and I think it's me, right? I'm sitting there in the stands. I'm like, finally, I got my t-shirt. I'm the only guy in eighth grade that doesn't have one. And then he says, Blake, stand up. And I'm like, God, he not only then he completely forgot about me, but it was like, what a gift. Cause that, I mean, I literally broken bones and everything. I stole a key to the weight room. And I didn't miss. I walked to the school. I promise you, I did not miss a day of lifting from seventh, eighth grade ish to basically today. You know what I mean? And it's just what a gift that was. But it was that just that kind of fuck you fuel, that it's that gritty thing, but it's also it's I think that thing that when I'm asking you, like, have you ever been proud? You look in the mirror and go, hey man, you're fucking awesome and you're successful, or whatever, that positive feedback piece. Because I think what gets us, I'll say the word success and kind of tongue in cheek, and probably because I have the same issue with not looking in the mirror and saying I'm successful, but that's what gets us there, right? Is all of those little things kind of stacked up, and it just drives you. And so it is almost 100% across the board that men and women that find themselves successful, to whatever extent that means, when they get there, they struggle to acknowledge it because what served them to get there is still deep inside of them,
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many different perspectives there that I think are valuable because I had this really cool like psychologist, psychiatrist, I guess. Um, I always just want to know like what's lowest hanging fruit, like what's the best breathing here, like what's the best sleep here, like what's the fastest way to improve that's the easiest, it's like
Yeah.
path of resistance towards like effortless growth. And but I was talking to them in the realm of like men and male and female psychology, and I go simplify it to the rootest of the root. And she goes, men want to feel like they're good enough and women want to feel precious. And like she asterisked like precious is really just another word for protected.
Yeah.
And so in that realm, like if we understand the roots of our psychology, like it's really hard to like if it's in the DNA of our brain to like be good enough or whatever. Again, this is modern psychology. I don't think it always applies to like really like what life and success are by any means, but like with the structure of what success is for us now, is it money, is it title, is it all these things? I just think it's such a personal thing, which makes it very malleable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an awesome game to play because like a lot of people aim at certain targets: money, house, white picket fence, wife, 3 kids, whatever. It's just like we have these things, these checklists, these whatever it ends up being, when really we can always change targets and or mountaintops or whatever it is like we're really chasing. So I think it's important to understand that it's only your perspective and story in your head that dictate these feelings, because you either made your goal unreachable or your behaviors didn't support it. There's a whole collision of things that make you successful or not. And most people sit down and ask them enough questions as, hey, why do you think you're successful? Why do you think you're not? And this is what I do all day, is I just ask questions until we get to the root of it. And like, okay, well, what's the floor of what makes you feel successful for a day? What's the ceiling of how much you can get done in a day? And you start putting these confounds and or finding things that make them feel successful every day. And it's like, so like, and this is where like I'm a big believer, and I spouted off this quote randomly, but it's like so many people think life is about this task, this task perfection, and like achieving this perfect level of success that I've had in my brain since I was a kid or since I started my business, whatever, when really everything's task completion and the outcome's never going to be exactly what you think, because perfection doesn't exist in the realm of high performance life. Like really it's impossible to have anything like a perfect game in baseball. The pitcher throws balls, so is it perfect? No. It's just like things like perspectives like that, where it's just like if you dismantle certain words, make them define success, really you'll start to like peel back the layers and find that it's some misunderstood preconceived notion about how they're supposed to feel when they reach each step. And so like I didn't really hit the point I wanted to, but I just wanted to pull back the curtain on, I don't think people realize like the deal of life, and particularly in times of transition and or like before or after an accomplishment. Because like I had this fucking dynamite conversation this morning, dude. This is why I'm all pumped up from the day already.
Yeah.
I got my workout, I got all my shit in, but I had this sauna conversation with a buddy of mine, Jake Trego. He's a singer for a band here in town, but I haven't seen him in a while, but he's been battling cancer for 4 years. And the parallels between his transition from cancer to remission, there's so many parallels between me leaving the NFL to anybody accomplishing something and then not knowing what to do next, because the structure of the climb is what gave them like these superpower abilities on top of all these other parts of their life that when the cancer disappears, some of the support and the structure and the schedule disappear. Same with football. Like my income changed, my community changed, my schedule changed, my training changed, everything changed. And so like how I've been simplifying this for myself and my humans, and particularly military guys I'm helping transition in that realm, is like you have to replace your puzzle, because like life's a puzzle, like however you want to break it. So I view it like this. So you have like family, workout, income, blah, blah, you have a puzzle. And so when you change careers, when you like, again, the target changes because you accomplish your target, whatever, shot your target. You have to make like the puzzle pieces sizes might change, but you definitely have to replace them. Like I still think everybody has to move and train in some way. They eat, they need love and family and friends, a community of some sort, a tribe. That you need income, just unless you can like essentialism and cut down to like zero burn rate, whatever, but like you have this puzzle, and so you have to put it back together. And usually in big life transition like military, NFL, career change, things like that, the exciting part is like you probably didn't choose your friends. They gave you 52 friends in an NFL locker room, or like at work you had these people, but like, or military you had your unit. But now the exciting thing is if you can flip the script and be like, hey, now you get to choose when you train, how you train, who you're training with. You get to choose more time for the family. You get to choose a career. You get to choose an income. Like it should be invigorating, but it is a fearful. back to that negativity bias of change and uncertainty in psychology. And so in this realm, but where I'm trying to get to is that make no fucking mistake, every day is a puzzle. You don't get to wake up and not put any pieces in any time anywhere, because that's no recipe for any good feelings about self. Like, yeah, I believe in rest and recovery days and all that shit too. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that it's expectation psychology. If you wake up and think you arrived, you're fucked. Like,
Yeah.
every day, wake up and put together your puzzle. And
Yeah.
and I think once you get good behaviors and routines and habits and different awareness of unconsciousness and all these things, particularly right after the change, it might feel like a 5,000 piece puzzle, but then in a few weeks it's 1,500. And then at some point, when like you maybe you figure out some more of life's little stupid secrets, and you're back on your hero's journey of everything in life, it's an 8-piece puzzle, and you wake up and you just do your thing at peace. You drink your coffee, you have your drink before you go to sleep, and you're just like content. Because like I do think I love happiness and laughing and all this stuff, but like I think people like strive to be happy too much as opposed to more like peaceful. Because like if you strive to be this incredibly positive, happy person, I think you can recondition your brain to be way happier than you are right now, but you have to understand what you're combating. But in general, I think peace is more the goal as opposed to happiness. Because like happiness, because we can have peace at any moment. You can go anywhere quiet. You can just sit here and close your eyes. You know, like peace can be anywhere. Slow breathing, there, things like that. But when you're not happy, there's a gap. You know, and it's like that's friction. So really, like I say, like I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be happy. I just want to flow through. And kind of to our point earlier is be adaptable and be able to just flow through the day. And I bet you're going to be a little more peaceful, a little more content, and now like life's like manageable, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that it's and that puzzle, the vision I had, and I've actually used that puzzle example a lot for talking about building businesses, and they all have roughly the same structure. You've got your sides and your corners, and you've got your middle pieces, and you approach a life or whatever it is, a business. But what I like to finish it out with the puzzle is that a puzzle with a piece missing isn't really a puzzle, right? There's nothing worse than finishing a puzzle and knowing you can't find that last piece. But when you do get to finish it, and if you've had these moments in life where you do get to finish that puzzle and you click that last piece in and you step back and you get to finally see it. And I've had that in my career as an athlete and in business as well. There's just those moments. And then you immediately start over on the next one. But for a moment, you get to step back and you go, there it is, right? And if you work hard enough and you're diligent about putting those pieces in, and if it's 5 or 10,000 or 8 pieces, it doesn't matter. But just that moment where you click that last piece in and get to celebrate and get to look at it and go, I did this, right? I finished this thing. Okay, now to the next one, right? But yeah.
No, I mean, now you're making me want to expand my analogy.
I know. Yeah.
Well, like, but I'm a believer that like maybe the completed puzzle is perfection, you know?
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like military tactics, and like some of the decision making process is like they have to make decisions on 70% of information sometimes. You know, it's like we have to keep moving even though the puzzle's not finished.
Yeah.
Like there's so many little things there where it's like you don't, like I really like the saying, Coach Lou has this saying that like hard work pays off but nobody tells you when.
Yeah. Yep.
Dynamite saying, but it's like even though you're on piece 2,998 of 3,000, but you have to change puzzles or something, like whatever, you know, or like another breaks, I don't know, but like but can you keep showing up and putting the puzzle together every day, no matter how many pieces, and hope, but to your point, I just don't think 100% completion, because like I didn't complete my career, I got kicked out, you know, kind of, they didn't let me back on the bus.
Yeah, but there are those moments, right? There's those moments where you go, oh, this is a glimpse into what it might be. Right? Yeah, I get a feel.
No, and I see. I'm not trying to downgrade what you're saying.
No, I love it.
I don't think people celebrate the small shit even close to enough. Like, why would you not celebrate any little like win in any capacity? Like, it's your perspective that says, oh, it's not that important, or or you don't want to ring your own bell or shine your own light. You know, it's just like the world that does keep pushing no matter if you're taking wins or losses, so why not celebrate the wins and learn from the losses, and it's like, because like if you want to like if you want to be happier, well, you better fucking spend some time being happy,
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I'm a believer in some of the celebrating stuff. Am I good at it? No, but it's
yeah.
But I think all that is like they're all worth. But dude, I wanted to come back to my conversation this morning.
Yeah, you had a great conversation in the sauna about recovering cancer and its parallel to your career in the NFL.
Yeah, like, and I'm gonna podcast him in that sense, but
Absolutely.
Sorry, my camera, but dude, the uncertainty of like being in remission, like losing his whole structure of treatments and support group and things like that, because people just like, I think this is all successful men. Like once that people think you made it, they stop checking on you.
Yeah.
And I think
yes.
And I think that's heartbreaking, dude. I think again, like you always want to, like, it's a stupid saying, but you always want to check on your strongest friend. Because sometimes like they're carrying boulders, they just make it look good,
Yes, dude.
And one of my buddies a while back, I mean, this has probably been 2 years now, but I call him when I'm on the road, and we made this plan. Whenever we talk, at the end of the talk, we always ask, who do we need to check on?
I love it, dude.
And so, I love it. And then my next call is to whoever, like, we both check on one person. And so now it's like, it's something that I could probably take into a lot more conversations, but
absolutely,
as somebody again, like outside of like my girlfriend and my mom, like knows my struggles usually, like I have no problem being vulnerable, like with the boys in the sauna and everything. So, like you've heard my business struggles. You've heard
we've talked about this. Yeah.
Like all these things, like I'm susceptible to all of those, but like not many people check on me, So it's like, and like, do I have enough pride to say I don't need checked on? Yeah. But is that the healthiest way? No. But like I had like guys like you, Charlie Ross, become a really good friend, checks on me. Like, and it's like all these things start, like Bert, like people, and Jeremy Ebert's probably my best friend on the planet, like talk all the time. So it's like, I have my people that do, I'm not saying that, but like the people with other perspectives of me and like what travel and what my success, because I'm coaching a team or a military group or something, they think these things, but like really, like your boy's out there grinding, struggling, doubting himself. And like, you know what? I would love it if my boys call me, because I just full circle. I had gotten some tickets to Shane Gillis live here in Columbus the other day.
Yeah.
But I invited my brother and 4 of my best friends from high school. And I realized I hadn't seen these guys in like at least 2 years. It doesn't feel like that to me, because like windshield time goes by fast,
Right.
And like in the and anyways, and I'm just like I'm like struggling to remember one of my buddies' kids' names and like all the, and I'm just realizing, but we had this conversation, and 3 of the 4 at some point during the night were like, do I love hanging out with you? Like, we got to talk more. And they're just like, yeah, I do. I just figure you're out there like saving the world, like being successful on the road, like doing all these things. Like, I never know when to call. I go, that's an excuse, dude. I'll pick up your call whenever I can, or I'll call you back. And it's just like this perception. That's the point I was trying to get to, is this perception of me and my busy life, which is like, maybe I'm projecting that. But in that realm, I don't think any of these narratives we have into our successful friends or our busy friends should limit us from reaching out and saying, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And they need it more. And it's just that idea of just telling your buddy, hey, I love you, man, And I do that like with Bert a lot, because I know he's a guy that he's always taking care of everybody else. And so I love texting that guy like, dude, I love you tons. Do not call me back. You don't owe me anything. Just want you to know that I'm thinking about you. And I think that's an important one, just kind of, me and you are we're at the back end of our time. But I think for me, like Brian, I think that's a biggie, man. It's just we probably should just get on another podcast and talk about just that, like loving on your brothers and just how important that is for this community of men and women too. But I'm just going to just say it, like, men aren't good at that. Women are very good at that. We'll have coffee and they'll talk about things, and we're not, right? We'll go to the weight room and smash weights and or we'll go hunt something or shoot something or do whatever, but we're not good at that piece of it for sure.
No, yeah, and I can talk about that for now. I can sing Bert's. Last time I talked to Bert, I cried on the phone.
Yeah,
and like it's just, again, it's part of the osmosis of like the community. Like, it's not a mistake. Me and you gravitated towards each other and talked in the song. I stopped and we did all the fun stuff in Colorado and all that shit. And you invited and been on the phone, so it's just like, that's the importance of community, is because like that, I wouldn't have that outlet elsewhere. Like, I may have not even respected the nod that Bert gave me that let me feel the way that I did. Like, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but just great humans, like the contentment I got from that understanding of him and myself. Same thing with this whole conversation, dude, is just knowing that there's other people that, one, you can talk to, and two, think and want to help and serve others. Like, that's where, like, I'm always like, obviously we're givers in that realm, but I think learning how to accept help is something that I'll always keep learning. But the community inside your and Bert and that whole orbit is pretty special, which is why I think we podcast and tell stories, because like that is something we can share that hopefully it pushes somebody to, again, like, I think a sauna is an easy place. Hop in a sauna and have a deep conversation, because
dude, for sure.
Because like, again, I this is probably speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but like talking to Jake this morning after 4 years of cancer, and like, I don't want to put his business too far out there, but has a pump in his liver and all this like stuff, been through hell and back. And like, the saying where it's like, if everybody put their problems on the table, like, they'd probably take their shit back.
You take yours back. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
What I think is a powerful, like, I think gratitude's an awesome perspective and should be a very common practice of humans, and celebrate the little things and be grateful for the little things. Because like, if like, again, like, I like the saying, like, a healthy man wants 1,000 things, a sick man wants one thing.
So they want their health back.
Get back to our health in that simple perspective. But the point, that both sides of my mouth thing I don't want to lose is, it doesn't mean you can't put your shit on the table. Right. Even though you take it back, but if other people get another, like, the side view of it and say like, oh, like, it's like kind of like the water's a mile wide but an inch deep. I think all these military retreats I've been on and been coaching at and stuff, and all male tribes, if you have the fucking guts to put your shit on the table, and then the validation of another person say, hey, I've gone through that too, or I'm going through that too, and you're just like, now you have a talk. And it's like, well, what do you see here? What am I missing? What's not in my periphery? And it's like, okay. And it's just relieving, because like, again, we fight in the dark. Like, we us boys, we fight alone in the dark at times.
Yeah.
And so,
absolutely.
If that's a challenge for people, is like, put your shit on the table. You'll probably take it back, but like, it needs to be seen.
It feels good to drop it and set it down for a minute too, right? You said we carry these heavy boulders, and we do, so many of us. And I think it's just, even if it's just a moment of respite from that, and we all put it down and we go, yeah, we're going to pick ours back up again. But it feels good to set them down for a minute too sometimes. Yeah,
it's these micro drops, man. It's like these micro, like same as, like, I don't journal a lot anymore, but I journal like twice a week, but like, really, I'm just putting my stress on the paper and letting it hold some of the weight. And then I'm trying to therapy myself by asking why. Why does this person bother me? Why did this sale not work? Why am I not working out like I should? Just like, and you play 5 times and you solve some of your problems and dissolve some of your stress.
Brother, I love it, man. Where do they get more of you, bud? I mean, this is amazing. I want to know where I get more Brian Peters, my BP in my life. Where do we find more of you?
I only have like a content plan, so I'll have some more stuff coming out in the realm of like the perspectives, like we talked about, that I coach. but so Brian_Peters10 is like social, where I more the personal stuff, but it's all gonna collaborate. Breathing for Performance is my company, at Breathing for Performance on socials, and then Chasing Edges is the podcast that's coming back. But websites breathingforperformance.com. But yeah,
How do we support you, man? I mean, can we book some hot cold therapy? Are we traveling? We're around the world loving on people.
Yeah, so a lot of what I do is workshop based, like whiteboard coaching, breath education, physiology, and mental skills education. A lot of these perspectives we talked about today to hopefully dissolve stress, or at least create more awareness potentially around stress in the workplace, stress on the football field, wherever. And then it's usually like another hour of application on how to use it in real time and feel it. Because if you can feel it and notice the difference, then okay, we have a tool. And then the Fun and Ice is just something I like sharing. I like sharing it in like kind of like a competitive safe space. Like I want to try different things, teach you the science, but also not put rigid boundaries on it. Like, how do I eventually enjoy the cold plunge in the sauna, and like that, like how you struggle in the cold, just indicative of potentially how you struggle elsewhere. So we get tools and perspectives there. But yeah, I'm a traveling circus. I just built a 26-person mobile sauna that you got to see the new one.
Yeah, baby. Love it.
But dude, I'm taking a big loop here middle of May. Probably Chicago, Montana, and I got to be in Huntington Beach and Arizona, and then but like I don't know if I'll come through Denver, but if so, like I'll be around.
We'll make it happen. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much, Brian. I'm just sitting here with like, I wish I need to have a pen and paper with me because I had a million questions. And so, you know, we'll turn this into a 5-part series or something like that, because there's so much good stuff in you. And it's always been a blessing just to be around you and your frequency and your energy, and just a guy that holds a standard that makes a guy like me look up to you and go, I want to be more like that dude there. So thanks for your time with us, dude. I love you tons. I appreciate you. Can't wait to do it again. I didn't get enough today. I feel bad shutting us down. But let's do shut it down, and let's pick it up again if you got time sometime here this year.
Oh, guaranteed, dude. And then all those feelings are heavily mutual, man. I love you to death. You're one of the good ones, one of the good guys that I've collided with these last couple of years, and I couldn't be more grateful, dude.
Yeah, same to you, brother. All right, man. Let's get to it and have a great day. Okay.
Easy. You too, brother.
All right, bro. See ya.
All right, that's BP, man. What a stud. Love everything that he's about. He's even better in person. So if you guys have any chance, any opportunity to get to join him in one of his sessions, or if you've got a company, you can bring him out. He travels well with that trailer, like you heard him talk about. And so if you get the chance, look him up and get with him if you can find a place to do it. You won't be sad, man. That guy, he's done a couple things with us at our home, actually. And just what a great energy. I wish I could have him in my back pocket all the time and just run through those sessions, because when he leaves, you feel like you're just on fire.
Yeah, just full immersive with, in our situation, all ages, just business people and family members, right?
And the kids. It was awesome.
Yeah, not necessarily like a team or anyone really searching for that help with a next goal or a game or a job or something like that, but just really opening it up to just kind of the common folk and
just life, right?
Yeah, just really being a great teacher.
Yeah,
which just shows how much he cares about that craft and the knowledge that he has gained over all these stops. And he's really good at listening, I think, taking it in, and then not being complacent with that, being a steward of his craft, and just really trying to strive and keep continuing to learn and grow what he's doing. And I think there's genuine passion behind it too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like his energy he brings to it, you can tell. And it was funny, even when he was at my house, my son Logan didn't want to get into the ice tub, understandably, right? You look, everybody's freaking out. But he was shooting baskets, and Brian went over there with him and just applied all the same stuff to him shooting a basketball. And it was like the same principles of that. Like, okay, let's talk about where, like, he went really, really met Logan where he was at and say, okay, here's where you are. You're not doing my thing, but this all still works over here too. And dude, it was so sick to have him out. And so Guys, we love you tons, BP. Just keep it up, man. Keep rocking. And just if you guys got a chance, get with him. And so what me and Tyrell want to do here is just touch a little bit on some of the things that hit us in the podcast, and they hopefully hit you as well. We just think it'd be really helpful for us to just be able to kind of chew on a little bit of that and just pick it up a little bit and look at it a little bit more,
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, kind of to start it off, going into the human performance side of things and his, he really early on kind of touched on the differences in like the research and then like what's good for you. Right. And his quote was like, if it feels good and it works, it's good for you.
Yeah.
And just how true I think that is. We get so wrapped up in, I need to hit this, I need to do this, I need to hit this amount of miles today, tomorrow, the next day. And where it's like, maybe I just need to get out and run.
Absolutely.
Leave the watch at home, get out, pound, feel good, get back.
Yeah.
Kind of leave some of that bullshit behind.
Yeah. It does, man. And I think that too many people get caught up in that whole, there's a saying in like the business world that says the enemy of great is good, right? And I actually think in fitness and just caring for your body, I think that so often actually that the enemy of good enough is trying to be great, right? Yeah. And too often we go like, if it's not perfect, I'm not going to go to the gym. And if it's not perfect, I'm not going to ice tub or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, at the end of the day, freaking any cold water, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Like Brian said, a cold shower, when it's still cold coming out of the faucet there. If you got an ice tub, great. But if you don't find something, if that's the thing, that's obviously an ice tub's not the solution for everybody. If it was, awesome, right? It's not. And so it's just finding what works for you.
Yeah. Getting down to the gritty and finding out what works for you and what's good for you.
Yeah. Because there's so many, when you get into that biohacking side of life, there's so many different things that a guy could do. If you really want to have that perfect morning, right? You're getting up, you're eating the sardines, your ice tub, you're meditating, you're grounding, you're getting the sun in your face and all these things that everybody tells you to do. And it's like, you're not going to get all that every day. You're just not. And so it's just find what works. And just, I think the probably the answer is pay attention to how you're performing in your day. Be aware of yourself. And I think that Brian mentions that a couple of times, and they're just kind of an awareness of your operating system, your OS of your body, and how am I feeling today? What inputs are good? What inputs are bad? Because even we talk a lot about the zins there, but I have found there's times when they don't serve me well, right? That there is for sure too much, right? The dose, everything's poison. The dose makes it so, and I think that there's times you just got to pay attention and don't just be on autopilot, like sleepwalking through life.
Yep.
Right. So it's don't get too caught up. That's my advice, I suppose. And I certainly am not perfect. Right. But
well, and to that, then came your quote about this country was built on men who woke up, had a cup of coffee and went to work.
Yeah. And I stole that certainly from somewhere. Yeah. I stole that from somebody.
It is like at some point we didn't have these luxuries. We didn't have these problems. We just got up and grinded.
That's the grit part, right?
Yeah.
There we're just freaking gritty.
Yeah. And
there wasn't all this, but I think that what we probably are trying to recreate a little bit is we do probably spend too much time in a box as people, and so we are trying to go, okay, when we get outside and and see the sun and drink the water and ground and all that. And I was thinking about that when he was talking, like why on those long hunts I come back feeling obviously so good, and it's like, well, you're pretty much just drinking water out of a stream. You're sitting on the ground for a lot of the day. You're napping in the sun. I mean, it's like that perfect formula for like, that's where we should be. That's where we should be living. Right. And so
very grounded.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously there's a million other reasons that it's just the best, just time with friends at peace, good sleep, all of it. And so, not to get too deep on that, but, I think that it's just, it is taking the time to find that thing that works for you. And we could go all day on, well, where are you trying to get? What are you trying to work for?
Yeah. Right? That goes back to peeling back that curtain though. And the same idea of, essentially documenting what did this do to me? What did this do to me? How did this feel? And gathering those data points would be the same thing of like figuring out what that ultimate goal is, opening up that curtain. Where are you trying to be? Yeah. What are you trying to do?
Yeah. And when you're an athlete like he was, it's really clear, there's a lot of clarity around this is my goal. This is one specific thing. There's not a lot of distractions. It's you've got one purpose, and life is pretty boiled down and simple. So, it changes when you got a lot of things pulling at you. You got kids, family, a spouse, if you do, and work, business, whatever it is. And so, it's not going to be perfect a lot of times, man. But I think it's definitely worth its weight to go out and try and find that thing that helps.
Yeah, and I think that ties into one of my favorite quotes from him was when he was talking about trying to perfect the biohacking and everything while he was still in the league, and it's like and it's like he can look back now and be like, but I just couldn't shake the wanting to get down with the get down, right?
Yep.
And that's really common, I think.
Absolutely.
And at some point it's like I hope he lived it, right? Because those 8 years are hard to ever replace again, right? And so I hope he did enjoy it, but also you can always kind of cut back or look back and where are some of those spots, right?
And you said that earlier. We were talking like not everybody is that Tom Brady mentality, right?
Yeah, there's one of him.
There's only one.
And then there's one Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
And there's over our generations and time period, and sports get to put those in front of our faces on a regular basis, and so we see it there. And there's more out in this world that are living kind of a that robotic, like I am going to be the best, and there's nothing that's going to stop that.
And there's people that works really well for them.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's others that it doesn't. And I think that we get a little caught up in beating ourselves up that we're not all David Coggins type mentality. Like I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't. I really enjoy my life, right? I found what works for me, and it's a good flow. And I'm sure people could argue that like, well, but look what you could be. There's always this version of like, there's version of this man that I could be. Yeah. Right. And am I willing to give up other things, you know what I mean, to become that guy? Or is it that bite of brownie or that bite of cake with your wife at her birthday party? Yep. I can't imagine saying no to that. Right. Yeah, I'm going to say yes to that. I'm going to enjoy that. I'm not, like I said, good thing is here, Tara, we're not trying to be the standard. Standard. I mean, we're just here to talk about it and listen to what people are doing. And I hope that however that looks in somebody else's life, that they take that and they work toward it.
And there's a time and place for it, right?
Yeah.
If you're working on a show, you're a bodybuilder or something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you can't eat that cake.
Yep.
And you can't do it for I don't know how long, 6, 8 months.
Yep.
No cake.
That's part of it. And they're on that journey to find something along the way. Can I do that? Yeah.
It's perfect.
So, absolutely.
And then do that, and then you'll get the cake, right? It's all for it.
Yeah.
And that goes into like the being at peace. You said it a little bit, right? And that was a big one that I took from him. Yeah. In the interview was like figuring out how to like look into a mirror per se and be at peace. We're not too high. We're not too low. We're at peace with ourselves. More importantly, the grace portion. At peace with the decisions we made. Something that was heavy, looming. You did it. You put that time, that mental effort into it, and then you took those steps forward. And then being at peace of like, we're going to continue taking steps forward.
Right.
And I might learn sooner or later, but somewhere down the road, what that decision, that outcome will be. But am I at peace with it? Because ultimately, if I need to make that better or change it, I have to be at peace and ready to react and fire back.
And right? I think a lot of people think that if you're at peace, that you're not showing that grit. Right. And it's like, that's not true. Those things aren't in opposition of each other. Right. They are, you can have them both at the same time. You can be very much at peace and at the very same time be very gritty and be working very, very hard, but be at peace. And so you don't have to create this turmoil within yourself that is that fuel, that kind of that fuck you fuel that so many of us use. Yeah. That I think does take away your peace. Yeah. We could probably spend an hour talking about like if you have fueled on that, and I did for a long time in life.
You did, yeah.
Switching out those fuels, right? Because it's a hot burning fuel. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And to switch that out and go, I can be at peace and I can love myself, and I can go into, so for me, the weight room, if it was the weight room, and go, I'm here because I love myself, not here because somebody else told me I wasn't good enough. Somebody else told me I couldn't do it. Yeah. Because that for my entire life was my thing, right? That was always what I anchored on, is like, so-and-so did me dirty. I'm going to prove them wrong, right? And so here we go. And as you try and switch that, because it isn't always the healthiest fuel, because you'll find that the so-and-so that used to be just a nobody sometimes ends up being your spouse or your friend or somebody in your family, and people that you really should not be using their thing, that thing they said to you that they probably didn't mean or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
But it's just a really unhealthy cycle to get into that I found myself in, that I had to really make a switch because I was so fueled by, I was such a habit of like, if somebody would do me dirty or whatever, I would take that, and that's like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Now I got more fuel in the battery here to go out, and then I do the same thing in business. I did the same thing in everything I've ever really tried to pursue.
Yeah.
It was like, that was always my fuel, And so, yes, I think you can have a lot of peace and be very damn gritty at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's that like mastery of self, right?
Yeah. And when you talked about kind of that fuck you fuel in the interview, and you told the story about not getting a player of the game t-shirt, right?
Yes.
And it's, as your little brother, that one, it's just, I've always known you were fueled by that, right?
Yeah.
And I could see it. And, it's funny because like sitting back here today, it's like your fuck you fuel basically paved the way that I never had to have that, right?
Yeah.
I was filled with like love and like, let's just show up for these guys.
Have a little fun.
Yeah. And, and so I think there's a balance too of like, well, how do you find a little bit of that fuel?
Yeah.
When it matters.
Yeah.
Maybe when you don't have that chip, right? And the stories of Michael Jordan are like, he looked at me wrong at the dinner table, right? Or like they poisoned me on purpose, and
right. And he did that, and you wonder if he still does. I don't know. I think it's pretty hard to get rid of that. I still find myself doing that.
Yeah.
Because you have to kind of tap into that here and there. But that's where, like for me, hunting has never been that for me, right? Hunting has always been that thing where I find peace.
Yeah.
And harvesting an animal is really a second. It should. God, I know there's gonna be so many friends, and just anybody listening is gonna go wrong, but that harvest is secondary to the time spent out there at peace with myself, and that kind of reflective time that you get in the woods, right? Yeah. And so, but yeah, I think that it's funny how that those little things, I think we've all got them. That player of the game t-shirt that I never got.
Yeah.
And we already heard the story, so we don't need to hear it again, but it really is something that for the longest time, I had that picture of that team in my weight room, why would you have your 8th grade football picture in your weight room with everything else you've got? Again, it was just there as a reminder of like, I don't know that I did anything wrong. You're in 8th grade. You don't know what you're doing. It's 8th grade football, but just that reminder of like, okay, yeah, somebody somewhere along the way told me I couldn't do it.
Yeah, dude. And that's building blocks, right? And they're going to come, right? And fuel. Maybe it wasn't always me, like where, hey, fuck you, I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
But there's self-doubts, and it's still the surrounding things that are fuel, right? The people, the places, the want something,
right?
Change here.
And it's interesting because you look at guys like, say, Cam Haynes, who his whole thing is nobody cares, work harder, right? Yeah. And I don't exactly agree with that one either.
It's like I work hard because I think someone cares.
So I think people care.
So I don't want to not show up for them in that moment, right? It's like they think they care, so I have to care.
There's a lot of people I'm fighting for, right? And so it's just one of those things that a lot of people care, and I care that they care, and they're counting on me, and so I am going to go hard, right? And so, but there are times when there are those lonely moments, and that guy has a lot of them when you're running those long races like he does, and you do as well. It kind of is like when you're all by yourself, you probably have to think to yourself, I'm the only guy that cares that I'm out here. It's a lonely pursuit, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
You can't rely on the other.
No, for sure, because they're not there.
No.
Right? It's just you all alone. So, and that happens pretty often.
Yeah.
Often, yeah.
It's good there, yeah. So, and then a big one that I think we talked about a little bit offline was when he mentioned about tourniqueting your time.
And
that one was, I love that one.
Yeah, tell me more.
And then that, like,
tell me more once
you start giving it away, you're bleeding out. It's like once you start giving it, you're bleeding. And then he was referring to a lot of like the devices, like the Netflix, the just the things, basically like imagine whatever you're doing sitting on that couch.
Right.
And we all find ourselves there. We love it, but it is so quick how your time can go away. Just how quickly you could bleed out. where you've always talked about your 15 minutes, your 1% of your day.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to lose 4, 5, 10%, in a single show or a scroll or video games or, just fill in that blank.
Right.
And so, how we just kind of constrict that back and own it too, right? Like on the business side, I think a big thing is like owning your calendar, right?
Yes.
If you're providing a service for people or something like that, like they don't own your calendar. You
Right.
own it.
Yeah. And it's
How
hard
do we take that back to life?
Yeah, and it is in the business side or life in general. Like I think when you're beginning out in a business and you're a poor kid and you just have to say yes to everything, right? It's hard not to get into that habit of being a yes man, right? Yes man with everything, because you learn like I don't care what it is. It's like yes, ma'am, I can do that. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so you develop these old habits of being a yes guy. When you're trying to build something, whether it doesn't matter what it is, business, anything, or even if it's in the hunting world, saying, yes, I'm going to do all of these things until you realize, okay, I might have overloaded myself a little bit, and they're not really good at anything. And so I think, yes, tourniqueting your time, it has to start with understanding what you value and what your time, and I'll repeat this a million times with this, the highlighter thought of, when I was training for the trials, I had like 3 colors of highlighters, right? It was either I'm training, working, or I'm with my family. And if you weren't in those highlighters, then the answer was just no.
Yeah.
Right. And I said no to a lot of life for a long time.
Yeah.
In order to get where I wanted to go. Right. And so but when you are starting out in the business world, especially, you say yes to everything. So it's hard not to, and so it's, you do have to really, and I love that as well. Just learning to kind of tourniquet your time, right? Yeah. Put a stop on it, take a pause a little bit, and think, is this a priority for me? Is this getting me where I want to go?
Yep. And I think, and the big ones are like the start would be, and looking internally, and what I could do better is like those ones that are every night, or those
easy to control.
Yeah. And, eventually you're going to have to say yes to the boys. You're going to have to help with this and do this. And, saying yes to the family. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some of those that you can control and, just really look at, and is this getting me anywhere?
Yep, absolutely.
And then mostly for me is just understanding how quick that time goes, how quick 1% goes, 15 minutes goes.
Yes, and I love that as a rule, right?
2.5.
And you touched on that, but just that 15 minutes, that 1% rule, that I've carried that for probably 20 years of going. Most of us have 5 priorities probably in our life. Things, if you started to name family, your hobbies, your work, your personal fitness, and then if you have a spiritual life, something in there, and then you kind of self audit, and you go at the end of every day that I really sit down for 15 minutes with each one of my kids, for example. Yeah. Like really sit. Your kids at your age, you sit on the floor and play with them. In fitness, I think if everybody just took a consistent everyday 15-minute approach to their fitness, I think most of us would be much healthier than we are, right? Yes. And then, with your spouse, if you're married or a partner of any kind, did you take 15 minutes to sit down with that person? Right. Yeah. And so, unfortunately for the front of center family, they're going to have to hear that over and over and over again, because it's just a tenet in my life that I live by. And it's just too simple. And I just think it's a good way for me to call myself out and go, did you spend 1% of your day on your priority? And if not, you got your shit backwards. Right. So Bubba, I love it. What else you got from BP?
Another big one that we've talked a lot about offline is the quote that he dropped, and you had mentioned it. You had asked him about it, and then he gave you the real, he corrected you there.
He got me.
I've never seen a wild thing feel sorry for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a good story there, just talking about the 3-legged deer walking around your neighborhood, right? That he's been hanging out.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we fall into just, it's easy to be a victim. It's easy to not just get in a place of like, poor me, right?
Absolutely.
And then when it comes to like that grit and that dog or whatever that you're looking for, or who you envision yourself being on that stage,
right?
We gotta figure out that way to not feel so sorry for ourselves.
And it's just an acceptance thing, right? I think the deer goes, well, That's a thing now.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. And instead of looking back, and I talked about this in the podcast, but just constantly looking back at the thing that hurt you and go, it does no good, absolutely no good, to sit and feel sorry for yourself in those situations.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah. And it could be, every problem or situation that you're having is probably the biggest thing in your life right now. And
Right.
I get it. Right. But, it's the card you're dealt right now.
Yeah. And I think the key would be knowing that you're going to get there. I mean, I'd love to say none of us, like, I will never feel sorry for myself where I'm going to. I'll have that moment where I kind of crumple a little bit. I think it's knowing, like, okay, getting tools that you have in your back pocket to say, get myself out of that. And I don't know I know at some point Brian mentioned just going to the weight room, and that's always been for me, my reset. I know for guys, it's just go on a run,
get outside,
go shoot your bow, go for a walk with your kid or your wife or whatever it is that you do on your own. Like I think we talked about in maybe the last podcast but I used to go up to that lake and just lift those rocks, right? That's just a reset where you go, I'm feeling a little sorry for myself. Cool. What's my thing I do next, right? Because it's like a lot of things in life, it's not your first thought that is the issue, it's the second thought, right? And so it's like, now that what's the second thing you think after I felt a little sorry for myself, but I've got a tool in my toolbox for that one, and I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to get to it, And it doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it's ugly. It's that rule for me of just touch the bar, right? In the weight room. Like if I'm not feeling it, just go touch the bar. Something good, I promise, will come out of that, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my assessment of that, and he was dead on with that. But yeah,
I think the grace portion too kind of comes back to this, right? Of we have someone close to us who's going through like a career change, right?
Yeah.
And one of his statements to me was just like, we just felt like we were in the right place, like we were ahead of bills, we were in this house, we're doing this, like it just started to feel complete. And now I got to figure this next stage out. And for me, like that grace piece is like, fuck yeah.
Yep.
You did that.
Yep.
Like look back at what you have right now.
Yes.
That you're pumped about.
Yeah.
And then have that grace like, fuck yeah, we did this. Now
let's
do it again.
Yeah. Build on it.
Now I got to change. I got to pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're in a great spot and I can get right back to the spot.
For sure. Right. I've always said that when COVID kind of hit, and you kind of looked at, well, what if, with all of our businesses, I had this concern that like, okay, they're going to take all this away. It's all going to be gone. Right. Because when the world shuts down, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I just had this recurring thought to myself was that, if everything goes away, fine. Right. I'll start over. And if they reset us back to the start line, all of us go back to zero. Everybody in the world goes back to zero. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to bet on my boys. Like we'll win again. Like do it. I'd love to see it because what the hell, it'd be fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like the challenge accepted, right? Yeah. Take me back, take us all back. And like, I kind of in a weird way was like, like a little sick part of me is like, fuck yeah, let's do this, man. Like I want to see, I want to see if I really got it, right? Yeah. Can I do it again?
Yeah.
Right. To build what we've built, within all the companies. And so I think for me, I got like, we're maybe a little too excited, or maybe it was just my backwards brain going like, what's the positive? What's going to be fun? Is there an adventure in this? And with certainty there was. Yeah. Right. Because you had to pivot everything. And so I agree, Tyrell. You look at it and you go, okay, people can take your job, but they can't take the tools in your tool belt. We grew up in the construction world, so I just can't help it. But they can't take my tools away from me, right? And they can't take what I got up here. Yep. Right. So I'm going to take the tools and I'm going to take the knowledge I've got and I'm going to go build something else. Yep. I'm going to build it again. I'll build it bigger this time. Yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck you, Phil. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard in those moments, right? Of just like feeling like you're getting buried, but ultimately it's like, yeah, I was prepared for this.
Yep. Take a step.
I got my shovel. I'm not buried. No. I'm above ground and I'm going to dig now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun one. Going into when he was talking kind of about getting named captain and kind of an important role that was for him. Billy O'Brien came to him and said, you got the most votes on the team. Yeah. And just kind of how huge that is to not only find yourself in a position, but hey, 53 of my peers think I belong here.
Right.
And that's pretty sweet, right?
Right.
When we talk about kind of that imposter syndrome in the last one and stuff like that, like that's a great sign of, oh shit, That's pretty cool.
And he said something pretty cool there, and I want you to touch on it, but he talked about his type of leadership.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're going with this. And he talked about kind of 2 leaderships, what he's best at. And so to me, that was just a fun one of kind of having those 2 leadership styles of who's going to kick down the door and follow me through, right? And then where he was talking about kind of being more of like, gather the people around, let's build them up, and let's go through this wall together, right? I was thinking kind of like creating that ideal point man, right? Like building them up, getting it, and then let's go together now.
Right. Which is a lot harder, man. I mean, it's so much, it's a lot easier to have that warrior mentality of just kick a door down and run through it first.
Yep.
That's pretty easy, but there's kind of that dark art of can you lead in a way that people are excited to run through that door, maybe even in front of you, because you've built them up. And that is so much more work. And it takes a lot more emotional intelligence to look around and go, I'm going to build these guys. And not knowing if you'll ever be their leader. I mean, that he didn't know he was going to be that. Right. Yeah. So it's fun to imagine him going like, I don't know what I've got from skill set. He talked about him being a little undersized, a little under speed, maybe. Yeah. He just liked contact on the defense side of the ball. And, but just for him to take that and just go, I'm just going to lead. I'm just going to be this guy for these people. Right. And seeing that gap of opportunity in the locker room there and on the field.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then kind of just to cap off the kind of the NFL stuff and that portion of his career was, we were talking about like finding the success, in that in game per se. But he was like, I didn't finish, I got kicked off the bus.
Yeah.
They didn't let me back on.
Yeah.
And that one, I think that in comes to us in whatever field or profession or dream, goal, hobbies. We hit that wall sooner sometimes than we anticipate, and how we kind of accept that and go, because Father Time will always win.
For sure, especially in the physical, in that physical realm, dude. Yes, like things just don't pop like you thought they were going to pop anymore after a while, Yep. And so it's time to move on, and it's just that I think we talked about it in the podcast, but just that idea of like a good death is hard to find.
Yeah.
And it just really is in the sports world, man. It is you just don't know when the body's going to stop. If you have a career-ending, kind of injury, then it's just done. But it's just, if you get too wrapped up identity-wise and all of that, I've seen it in too many of my friends that were played, in the NFL, and those higher level guys in the military too.
Yes, sir.
That identity gets wrapped up in that. We have to be really careful of that as well, because someday they're just not going to let you back on the bus.
Yep. And so that quote just stuck with me, because we've always had that conversation offline of kind of like hanging up the uniform, right? Mm-hmm. You had to call it quits professionally as a thrower at one point.
Totally.
The military, you got to hang it up. And so just that, moving on. But his quote really brought it back to like, sometimes they just don't let you back on the bus.
And it's good to see a guy that has been through that.
Yeah.
And gone, okay, again, well, what have I got then? And what am I going to do with all of these lessons I've learned?
Yep.
And at some point you turn around and you go, I'm going to start giving it back. Yep. And in that NFL career, 8 years is a long time.
Great.
And so then at a younger age than most, you turn around and you start giving back. And which is, either there's a lot of guys that do that as coaches, or for him, it's in that personal development world where he's going out to, luckily, us normal people, and sharing everything he's taught. And so it's really cool for me to see Brian turning around and going, how do I turn around and bless everybody else with all this good stuff? And then it's given him a purpose to continue to learn. And he talked about that, where he's like, continue learning, go get certificates. He's getting, I think, a psychology degree.
Yep.
And so it just gives him that energy to go, okay, what else do I need? What other tools do I need to put in the toolbox to go out and continue to be better for the people I'm serving? Right.
Yeah.
And what a great purpose.
What a great purpose.
Yeah. All right, family. Well, that feels like enough there with BP, that we could talk for days. And so, as we wrap this up, I just want to give you that quick reminder to go check our boys out at the G.O.T. Outpost, where they're teaching you and I how to optimize the gear you have, and maybe poking at some things maybe you could add to your gear list. And so go check out G.O.T. Outpost on YouTube. You can also find them on the RuckList website, rucklist.com. With that, thank you to RuckList for letting us do this. What a great time. And hopefully you guys can go check out RuckList as well. And they can do what they do around helping you optimize your gear. Their gear optimization technology we're excited to pump you guys up with that. Tyrell, anything else as we quit it up here?
I think that's it, dude. Good show.
Yeah.
Thank you to Brian Peters for spending some time, sharing his knowledge with us, and committing some time. So
yeah,
really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
No, thank you, dude. We had a warm one today.
Yeah.
People are gonna see the sweat dripping off us a little bit. It has got to be 120 degrees.
Yeah.
So it's fitting though, with it being kind of Brian and his sauna thing, dude. Like we're not far off.
Yeah.
If we just had a cold plunge out front, we'd be set up here.
The whole thing.
We'd wrap it up. So, all right, we're looking forward to the next one. We'll see you guys on the next round. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day.